Well, Lee, here we are in the Chronicle's canteen. This is free posture check from the Lowfell chiropractic. And I must ask, was that another spineless performance in Newcastle on Saturday, or did they play with a little bit more backbone?
Yeah, I think in the second half the backbone was there, but by that time the damage was already done, wasn't it, really?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I tipped Newcastle in the Chronicle to lose on down at Fratton Park for a number of reasons, so maybe we weren't too disappointed. I mean, I expected them to lose. In the end, I was disappointed they didn't come away with the draw. Really, I mean, that second goal from Matthew Taylor was an absolute killer, wasn't it?
It was an absolute killer. Yeah, I think Gooch was still debating whether it was a sort of cock up or whether you could have dealt with that a little bit better.
Yeah.
I thought it was a weak header. I thought he should have just hoofed it clear. It was a long ball it came in from David James, wasn't it? And can't fault the finish though. It was no keeper in the world would have got that one.
What happened against Newcastle? Let's go. Here we go. Kieran Young sent us an email from Dubai. I actually know Kieran Young. I used to play domino with his dad. I used to play domino with his dad, Ted, 50 years ago, a couple of rogues away. This is what it says. It's, "Hi Alan, it's Kieran Young. I think the last time I saw you was before the semi-final against Manchester United in Cardiff. I teach out in Dubai and I've been watching the podcasts along with the other mags out here. They've all asked me to ask you if you'll give the Dubai mags a mention in your next podcast. One of them mentioned the team might be coming out in pre-season. I was wondering if you'd heard anything about that." Sorry, Kieran, no. There was talk about Newcastle going to LA. They get all the usual invites to go to Asia. But Glenn Roeder doesn't want any of that. He's going to take them away to a soccer camp in Austria, where they'll be hammered and knocked into shape for next season. And, all I can say is, by God, they need it. But here's something. I have to say, I've defended your good name in a few fanzines on more than one occasion. But lay off Obermartins. He'll be fantastic. I just hope it's with Newcastle. Well, I've got to say, Kieran, I mean, I've been saying for a while that when Obermartins wasn't scoring, he's been a bit of a liability this season. But I've got to say, on Saturday, I thought he was fine. He could have scored 4 goals. There was one after 50 seconds, wasn't there?
There was.
That David James got a bit of a shock at. There was the header, which he did. It was a great header that Lauren got off the line at half time. But the 2 in the second half, Lee, I thought he should have scored. The first one after half time. Then the second one was 10 minutes to go, which would have probably earned Newcastle a draw. In his favour, I've got to say, David James was out of his goal quick, wasn't he?
He was. It was a good save, actually, and it was a good save in the first 50 seconds as well. The chance where the left foot sort of rocket, which James had to punch away, but I kind of dressed it up positively. I thought Newcastle were a real massive disappointment, and the saddest thing of the whole lot is I'm not surprised, because the Glenn Roeder, whatever he said to them at half time, obviously made a big impact. Just a shame they weren't listening to what he was saying before the match, and it's a sad situation when you're going down to, no disrespect to Portsmouth, but teams like that and getting turned over, and it's not the first time it's happened this season. And the whole situation it's shambolic, really, at the moment, isn't it?
I've got to say, Portsmouth are a hard team to beat at Fratton Park. I mean, they beat Manchester United last week, but you're right in what you're saying. I mean, there was. I thought Newcastle would lose, but I wasn't too unhappy with the formation, with Martins up front and wingers and Milner and Duff, and with Buddy Holden and Charlie and Nzogvia and Emery. I mean, I thought Charlie and Nzogvia was an absolute disgrace. We've written a story and Arsenal's interested. I mean, he played on Saturday as if his head was in the clouds and his heart was at the Emirates. I'm told that Glenn Roeder absolutely blasted him at half time and said, "Look, if Arsene Wenger was here today, son, you'd never play at the Emirates." But I mean, it's a problem. What do you do with these kids? He's a young kid that came here with nothing, gets fantastic wages, and I think he just hasn't got the intelligence to handle it at the moment. And what do you do? Look at Craig Moore. He's never let Newcastle down he's never let Newcastle down when he's been on the field. And yet I'm told that he was told last week that he wouldn't be getting a new contract, and you saw how he played. I mean, what can the manager do about that apart from haul him off, which he did after 29 minutes?
There's a lot of naivety around Charles Nzogvia, but he's going to have to wake up, because it's quite easy to tumble down in football. once you've been put up there, you know, it's quite easy to tumble back down. You know, he's got a great chance at Newcastle United. You know, and if he thinks that he's bigger than the club, then we all know what happens to people who think that they're bigger than the club.
The thing is, you know, the problem Glenn Road has got is there's so many of that squad should just be shown the door, but he can't, because, you know, well, he's got to get through the rest of the last 4 games of the season, but he can't, because, you know, you've got to get the replacements in, and at this moment in time nobody knows, you know, what kind of money's going to be available.
On top of all that, I still think this season he's done a good job. You know, it's way below the standards and expectations of the fans. You know, we're fans, we want to see that as well, but given all the injuries he's got, given the fact he's been without Michael Owen, given the fact people like Craig Moore have chipped him with performances like that, Charles Nzogbe, when he's come in, hasn't taken his chances, so, you know, I think he's done a reasonably good job to have them where they're on the table, but the bottom line is, it's not good enough for Newcastle United.
That's right. It looks like Glenn's problems with injuries are going to go right at the end of the season. Damien Duff out. It's a pity. He was beginning to show a little bit. I wasn't too impressed on the Saturday. I thought he could have done better against Lauren. But it's in the Chronicle. Duff's season's over. It means he won't play against Chelsea on Sunday, of course. We fully expect Michael Owen to be involved at some time. The manager tells me that Scott Parker, Kieran Dyer and Sibieski will be back. So, you know, I mean, you look at the Scott Parker situation, you look at some of the, dare we say, spineless performances from some players, and, you know, I hope all this nonsense with Scott Parker and the fans having a go at him is dead and buried, because, as I say, you know, when you think of some of the absolutely terrible, gutless performances some of the Newcastle players have turned in this season, but not Scott Parker, so you never know. Of course, different kettle of fish. I mean, to be fair, when Chelsea have come up here the last couple of seasons in the Premiership, you know, you can hardly say, but they hardly tried a ha'porth, and you know, Newcastle beat them, of course, with tight as brambles goal last season. The beauty of it is, of course, they had a grueling game yesterday, and they've got what will be a hard game with West Ham Wednesday night. So I've got to say that I fancy Newcastle more against Chelsea on Saturday than I did at Portsmouth on Sunday, than I did against Portsmouth last Saturday. So let's hope for the best.
Yep.